I want to talk some about Kenny Pickett because I do feel like there's a lot to like about Pickett, and he maybe is getting a little bit underrated at this point. Like, I do think that, I had a fringe first-round grade on him. He ends up going pick 20. That's not that much of a reach from my board personally, and this is the round when a lot of people felt like he should go. There's a lot to like about Kenny Pickett, and guys who are drafted in the first round do have a decent chance of being successful. Again, quarterbacks, whoever knows of this thing, it's always just complete question marks. But one of the things I really liked about Pickett, and that's going to be the focus of today's video, is how well of a job he does at just running an offense. I thought he did such a good job of reading defenses and running an offense, which is something a lot of young guys can't really do. Now, he's older for a guy who just got drafted, but he's still on the young side, and let's start off with this play. So it's man coverage that he's going up against, and there are indicators you can tell if you can use to tell if it's going to be man. One of the indicators, just in college, a lot of times they just run the same defense over and over again, so that might be a key indicator. But I think with what you see right now, you can really, I think, relatively easily tell that it's probably a single safety deep coverage, as well, technically there could be another safety dropping back. Realistically, this is almost certainly going to be just a single safety deep coverage, because if another safety dropped back, that would put now, a linebacker has to come over and another player is going to have to come over. So just the way that everyone's aligned, like you can see how everyone's going to be playing man here. That just makes far more sense. So it's not to say that you should feel completely confident this is going to be the case, but unless it's a good disguise, this is probably the case. This is the concept that Pitt is running right here. So everyone's going to the left, essentially. And what's interesting is that if this is going to be a zone coverage play or a man coverage play, it's probably going to be the same route that gets open, just it depends on when it's going to get open. That route right there. So if it's zone coverage, it'll probably get open a little bit later on in the play. But if it's man, it might get open earlier on in the play, with one exception. That exception is Tennessee could be doing something where they have a linebacker drop back into coverage and just, play right around where I have that, square. That's where there would just be a linebacker, which means that Pickett couldn't make that throw. However, that's not happening on this play. The linebacker will be blitzing, meaning that there's going to be an open field over the middle. So this is a good place to look at for your first read once you see that it's man coverage. And as you see, when Pickett takes the snap, he does read the play, realizes that number 18 right there is going to be open. So this is not a difficult play necessarily, but this is just kind of what I liked about Pickett, is it seemed like he just understood where to go with the football at all the time. He hit the open guy, and a lot of people will often say, he only threw it to guys who were wide open. It's like, well, he had a part of that. Like, Mac Jones is a great example of, people kept saying, look at how open these receivers were, but a huge part of how they got open was oftentimes Mac Jones making the correct decision, and that's translated well to the NFL, and I could see a similar thing happen with Kenny Pickett. I made some comparisons with Pickett and Jones. I think Jones was better, but I don't think it was massive. I mean, I did like Mac Jones a lot. I had him as my third favorite of the 5 first-round players last year. I'm not saying Pickett is on that level, but there's similarities. As you see, Pickett does make this quick throw, and they're able to pick up a decent amount of yards. Again, it wasn't anything crazy necessarily. Broken tackle helped make it a little bit more, but it's less about what's the outcome and more about, are you making the correct decision? And to me, I care more about just, what are you doing? What have you done well? And he did a really good job on that play, in my opinion. Going over to something like this is another example of what Pickett can do well that will translate at the NFL level, is he can make anticipatory throws, as in he can make throws with anticipation. He can basically see when something is about to get open and throw it before it actually is open. Ryan Fitzpatrick made a career out of doing this, essentially. Of a play like this is a good example. It's man coverage. You have a one-on-one matchup with a curl route that's going to be just past the first down marker, but timing is so important, especially in the NFL. It's important in college, but really in the NFL. And I think that Pickett's timing will work at that level. Watch, as you see, Pickett takes the snap, and you're going to look right over at this point. You look at Pickett, if you just look at him, he's already in the middle of the throwing motion. So he's making the throw before he knows that it's open. And there's an inherent risk here, right? If you want to bring up Ryan Fitzpatrick, part of why he turned the ball over a decent amount was because when guys weren't getting open, that led to turnovers. And that was why sometimes you'd see Fitzpatrick go off and have 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, and then you'd see him have, 3 interceptions the next game, because a lot of it depends on your teammates. But Pittsburgh has guys who can make plays and are good jump ball receivers and can get open. And when you add someone who can time those routes well, it could be a good marriage, I think. And obviously, just to be clear, I mean the Pittsburgh Steelers. I should probably say the Steelers, just because multiple Pittsburghs we could be talking about here. But yeah, the Steelers, of course. Again, as you see, Pickett makes that throw, and it's a completion. And if Pickett waited until he felt like it was open to make that throw, I don't think it's a first down. But because he did do the right thing and made the throw early, that allowed them to make the play. So little things like that might not seem like the biggest of deals, but trust me, they are very important. Going over here is another interesting example of, again, just what he does, how he makes the correct reads, he makes the correct plays. This is going to be a cover 2 zone that the Tennessee team is in. And so you see how this concept on that side of the field to Pickett's left could work. There's a little gap kind of just underneath the safety where potentially you could have a receiver get open. Right when this play begins, you see that Pickett looks over there. And at this point, it's interesting because me personally, at this point, I might say, I don't know, that could still get open. You still have a chance there. Pickett is not going to do that. I think Pickett really does see the ball well and see the field well and sees the defense well. Again, we're going to be dealing with a lot higher level defenses in the NFL level than in college. These are not necessarily too high level of schemes by any means. Actually, doing a little bit of editing in real time, I believe this might actually be a cover 3, not a cover 2, as I said, but it's the exact same idea of there's still a little bubble right there, regardless that this could work. But Pickett is going to correctly make this read of saying, I'm not going to, try this. Look at how quickly he gets to that next read, and now you see there is someone getting open. And maybe that still gets open even if Pickett takes a little bit longer to make this read. But maybe pressure comes before then. Being able to get off your first read quickly is a very valuable skill to have. And as you see, Pickett does make the throw, and they're able to pick up a solid gain there. So again, these small things will really work at the NFL level. I do think that Pickett is someone who, I get why a lot of people said, oh, he's going to be the most pro-ready guy day one. There's a lot of truth to that because of stuff like this. And also, I haven't talked about it too much in this video, but, he's also a really good athlete. And so just, being mobile will always help a young quarterback as well. Finally, one more play, and this is kind of a, it's a similar type idea, but just in a different way of this is going to end up being a cover 0 blitz. And what that means is that there's going to be 6 guys rushing the quarterback. You only have 5 offensive linemen, so someone should get through untouched, basically meaning that if you're Pickett, you have to get rid of the ball quickly. A lot of times what you like to do on these types of plays is hit that deep route that you see on the screen. That's a really good way to make this work. If you remember the Rams-Buccaneers game, that final play to Cooper Kupp to set up, get them in field goal range, which led to the Rams winning that game, that's exactly what happened. It was a cover 0, if my memory serves me, meaning that Cooper Kupp was on a safety one-on-one, and then Stafford just threw it up and put it in a good spot. Look, right when this play begins, you see that Pickett makes his read, and at this point, you're not sure it's going to be open. You're not. But this is still the correct play. As you see, Pickett does make a good throw. I think that could have been caught. It might have been a bit too far, potentially. I think it would have been caught, though. But, there was an interference play, so you'll take the interference, certainly, in that scenario. As a whole, though, I think, again, just correct decision-making, which is really going to work at the next level. So this isn't a full evaluation of Kenny Pickett as a player himself. Kind of wanted to just talk about one specific thing of his. If you want to see a full evaluation of him, I have made a whole film study on him already on this channel. Search Jackson Cougar Sports, Kenny Pickett, it'll come up. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.